And every Friday morning at this time, we are joined by ESPN baseball analyst Tim Kirkjian. Tim, Roger has you beat by maybe just a couple of days here. He has started his vacation on the beach, and I know you're headed in that direction yourself. But good morning, and thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Chris. I hope Roger's enjoying himself.
He will. He knows how to. There's no doubt about that. Tim, let's go back to last night in Boston. Brian and I were just talking about this game, of course, 15-7, and it's the most runs scored by Boston in this rivalry since 2009. It's now a 6.5 game lead in the AL East. Not that the Yankees may be done in this division, Tim, but what do they need to do the rest of this series in terms of how many games they need to win in order to stay in it, in your mind?
Well, they're going to have to get a couple out of the next three in order to pick up another game. I mean, the Red Sox are 42 games over 500. There's nothing to suggest that the Red Sox are going to start to tail terribly here. Chris Sale injury is troublesome, but it's not worrisome enough that he's going to miss more than one start. From what I can see, the Red Sox got better at the trade deadline, as did the Yankees, of course, with Ian Kinsler and with Nate Eovaldi. So they're going to have to get a couple more games, because you fall 6 or 7 behind the Yankees with under 2 months to go. Behind the Red Sox. I'm not sure you catch them with the way the Red Sox have played all year.
Yeah.
Tim, Brian Mariano filling in for Roger, who's enjoying his time on the beach. And watching this game last night, I was a little perplexed to watch Aaron Boone take out CC Sabathia after just 3 innings. Were you surprised that he pulled him so soon, or was the pitch count too high for that situation against the Red Sox?
Well, he certainly wasn't sharp the first 3 innings. The pitch count was high. As we all know, the Yankees have the deepest bullpen on the face of the earth. So if anyone can go to the bullpen early, it's Aaron Boone with his bullpen. But obviously didn't work out. Jonathan Holder was terrible. He got pounded, and that's the way it works, especially when you're facing a team like the Red Sox. But we should all get used to starters coming out early. This is not just some sort of trend. This is a reality in baseball today that starters aren't asked to do very much. And at the first sign of trouble, for the most part, starters are coming out. I'm not even suggesting that's a good development in baseball, but that's the way it works now, and it worked that way with the Yankees last night, and obviously it didn't work out.
ESPN baseball analyst Tim Kirkjian with us here on Big Board Sports and 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio. Tim, Jay Happ goes to the disabled list with hand, foot, and mouth disease. I saw Noah Syndergaard's tweet, which I thought was very funny. He said the trade that nobody saw coming from Syndergaard to Jay Happ. As Happ goes to the DL, I guess there's a chance we see Chance Adams from AAA on Saturday. Heck of a spot to make your Major League debut at Fenway Park in this rivalry. Does hand, foot, and mouth disease as an injury top frostbite from sleeping on an ice pack?
Well, the history of bizarre injuries in baseball are just unbelievable. As you know, Glenn Allen Hill had a phobia with spiders, and he had a nightmare about spiders one night. He jumped out of his bed, ran into a mirror, ran into a table, and had to go on the DL the next day. So there are all sorts of ones, but what Syndergaard and Happ got are kind of new to me. It just shows you again, easy to get hurt, easy to get sick playing baseball, and if you're hurt or sick, you can't play that game given the skill it requires.
All right, Tim, I have to ask you, and I wanted to ask you last week. We ran out of time, but the fact that Jose Reyes pitched this past week, it allows me another opportunity here. Are we up to 38 positional players who have pitched in a game this season? I can't imagine this is so much of a growing trend as it maybe is an aberration this year, but you tell me, are we going to see more positional players pitching year to year?
Well, we had 3 more last night, so we're up to 41
there you go.
Now. And that's the most since 1961. And I used to, look, I'm going to love everything about baseball. I'm just hopeless. I get it, all right? And I'm no fun hater on any level. But when something happens too many times, it ceases being really fun and really cute. And 41 times by August the third is too many times. There used to be a point where I would call every non-pitcher that pitched in a game, but now it happens so often. And to answer your question, I think it's going to keep happening because with our intent of keeping our pitchers healthy, with the way we overwork our bullpens, with our starters not going long enough in my mind, and with the very long season and the intent on keeping everyone healthy, I think we're going to see more and more position players pitch. I did a game in Chicago a couple of weeks ago where the Cubs used 2 position players in a 6-run game. There were only 6 down, not 16 down. It was the first time in 28 years that any team had used 2 position players down by only 6 runs. So it just shows you that managers are not fooling around, and they will basically punt on a game if it saves them tomorrow, the next day, and next week. And it's hard to argue with their logic, but I'm just not sure it's great for baseball that 2 position players for contending teams have gotten a decision in the last month.
Okay, so Tim, I'll throw out an idea that Roger had at you here as a baseball historian. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Roger says, let's put in a mercy rule. If you're down by however many runs, you can make it 15 runs after 5 innings, call the thing off, come back the next day, and start a new game.
Yeah, I've heard this before. I certainly understand the thinking and the logic behind it. I'm sorry, I would say this is not slow pitch softball. Maybe I'm just too old for this. Maybe I've been doing this for too long, but I think we need to play 9 innings, and then I think we need to play until the game is over. I'm not for putting a guy at second to start the 10th. I'm not for anything for a tie game, and I'm certainly not for a mercy rule. Now, again, I understand everybody's thinking on this, but let's just look at it from another end. Let's say you go to the ballpark and you get there a little bit late, and it's 12-0, and they play the next 3 innings real fast, and 5 innings are over, and they tell you you have to leave now after an hour and 48 minutes. You might say, I paid for more than this, so I'm not leaving. And I know that sounds preposterous, but the bottom line is there should be no mercy rule in baseball. Let's differentiate it from the Little League and from slow pitch softball.
Tim, I couldn't agree with you more, and that's what makes baseball great is that there is no clock. You can't run out of clock. You have to get all 27 outs in order to win a game, and the Dodgers blowing out the Brewers last night 21-5. They might have needed a mercy rule last night, but with the Dodgers and all the moves they made at the trading deadline, are they clearly the team to beat now in the National League with all the moves that they made?
Well, I think they're the team to beat. I'm not sure how much is clear in the National League, which makes the National League kind of fun this year. It hasn't exactly been the most noble races over there, but there's so many teams so evenly packed. The other day, the Dodgers started the day as the number 2 seed. Had the playoffs begun that day, they lost, and they became the number 7 seed, meaning out of the playoffs in one day. That's how evenly matched all the records are in the National League. But I think the Dodgers' work at the trade deadline with Manny Machado and now Brian Dozier makes them the team to beat. Clayton Kershaw's back. He may not be the great pitcher that we remember, but he's still pretty good. Their bullpen's okay. They got a top closer, and they just pound you with the home run ball. And that's how you win today. Let's see how many homers we can hit. And they do that with certainly anybody in their league.
Tim, one more for you from me, and it's on the National League side of things. And believe it or not, I'm not going to ask you about my Braves. I'm going to ask you about a different team in that division. The Nationals say, we are standing pat. We're not selling. We believe we can make a run at this thing. That team has certainly responded positively as they win again last night, and Bryce Harper hits another home run. Does Washington have enough time? We don't have enough talent. Do they have enough time to come back and win that division?
Yeah, I think they do. And it's going to be a long road, and those teams in front of them are not just good. They play with tremendous energy, the Phillies and the Braves. But I never thought they were going to break this team up. I know Mike Rizzo, their GM, very well. He's a wildly competitive guy, and he wasn't going to break it up as long as they had a chance to win. And I think there's something to the fact, what Mark Teixeira and I were talking about on the air the other day, those Nationals guys had to come back the day after the trade deadline and said, fellas, they didn't do this, but maybe they should have thought this way. Hey, we've had a terrible stretch here, and they believe in us. They could have broken up this whole team, and all sorts of people were writing, they need to break this team up. This team stinks. Let's show them they're all wrong. So maybe there's something there working, like we'll show everyone for counting us out. And they did nothing to not be counted out. But lately they've played pretty well, and they've scored the most runs per game in the month of July. Harper's hitting really well this month. Maybe things are starting to turn since the All-Star break for the Nationals.
We understand you're on vacation, Tim, so we'll take a week off with you, with us here on Big Board Sports and 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio. Do you ever actually get to unplug even when you're away for a week?
No, and I'll get yelled at several times on vacation for doing things I shouldn't be doing. But, when I come back, I have kids. I'm not going to see the kids on vacation anytime soon after this. Kids are all grown up. So I have to be the best dad I can be. But when I come back, I go straight to baseball tonight, then I go straight to a Yankees-Mets game. I can't just sit on a beach for 7 days and not look at the newspaper or read a box score. I can't do that, and I won't do that.
There you go. Tim, enjoy yourself, and we'll enjoy speaking with you a couple weeks down the road. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, guys. See you.
That is ESPN baseball analyst Tim Kirkjian with us here every Friday morning.